So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Brexit will outlive Boris Johnson, and I found this a really decent article because this Brexit is not going to end with Johnson, despite what people like Lord Heseltine are saying. We'll probably never regain our place in the EU, the place we had. It could take decades, actual decades, talking 30, 40 years potentially. For us to actually regain our spot, and that's only if the EU allow us to do that. Let's not forget, even getting single market access will be a nightmare. So we'll be talking about a lot of the stuff in this article is really good, and we'll talk about the kind of even the quote moderate contenders in the Conservative Party are not looking at anywhere near going back towards the EU. So anyone hoping the British Prime Minister's demise will soften Brexit will think again. Any immediate successor will find it politically impossible to endorse a softer type of Brexit, especially because they need the support of the ERG, because those kind of one nation Tories, I don't know how many of them there are in the Tory party. I don't think there's that many Theresa May types. There's ample consensus among the likely candidates in favour of tweaking the protocol, Northern Ireland Protocol, which again, it's not going to happen. It's just madness, honestly. Like, these one nation Tories aren't going to be able to be enough to defeat the ERG, and even then, you're still going to face a power struggle from the ERG in future. And of course, you somehow have to square it with the Tory base, which good luck with that. Legislation giving ministers power to unilaterally break this agreement, long controversial and disliked in Europe, and Washington will now won't pass before Johnson leaves office, giving his successor the option to ditch or amend it. But the thing is, I don't think they will, because at the end of the day, they've all voted for it so far. That's something I'll talk about towards the end of the video. Even the moderate ones have voted in support of it as the legislation is now. So they may make some amendments to it, but I don't think they'll do a lot different. The Northern Ireland Protocol Bill won't complete its parliamentary passage in this time, Mr Mogg said, the Brexit Opportunities Minister, telling Channel 4. It will have further stages in the House of Commons, but it won't get anywhere near the House of Lords. An incoming Prime Minister would be able to say, I'm not continuing with it. And that's kind of the fear that Brexiteers have, that, the new Tory leader will kind of veer away from it. The kind of hardline stance the Johnson government has taken. Since Conservative leaders are first selected by MPs and then voted on by the wider party membership, candidates cannot ignore the party base. The top two kind of MPs that are left in the Tory leadership race are, that goes to the Tory base, and they get to decide who the leader is from there. You had Boris Johnson absolutely stomping Jeremy Hunt last time out. They have populated the Conservative Party with a bunch of people for whom this is an act of faith, said Anand Menon, director of the think tank, the UK Inner Changing Europe. And let's not forget, it's been taken over effectively by kind of the Brexit party types, by the UKIP types, the Tory party. The party has changed dramatically, Menon says, and absolutely that's correct when you look at the people they're kind of elected. Last month, Hunt reportedly approached the ERG members with the pledge to remove the RSC checks introduced by the protocol on goods moving from Great Britain into Northern Ireland. This is the quite moderate here. This is the moderate saying we're going to get rid of checks in the RSC. Madness. Absolute madness. You've got Tom Tugg on his hat writing that everyone in the next government will be committed to fixing the protocol without setting out how, and added that the full advantages of Brexit are yet to be unleashed. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. But Jeremy Hunt voted in favour of the protocol legislation. And if you look at Tom Tugg on his hat, supports the Northern Ireland Protocol legislation, despite calling for a clean slate on, the Northern Ireland Protocol. He makes no sense. He sees it as a negotiating tool, just like the Internal Market Bill was meant to be, but the Tories kind of gave up on that in the end. They changed it in the end. Steve Baker, a former chair of the ERG, who is also considering a bid for leadership, he's not running anymore, he's going to throw his weight behind Braverman, said Johnson's departure is immaterial for Brexit, which, for once, I actually agree with Baker. The main question is whether the next Prime Minister is enthusiastic about it and therefore delivers well. From my conversations with them, I know this applies to Jeremy and Tom Tugg on his hat too. So effectively, the baseline for the Tory party candidates is getting rid of checks in the RSC. That's how bad the Tory party has gotten. That they're, all of them, by the looks of it, are willing to breach international law here. All of them. New government, same politics. Whoever wins this race will also face the same conundrum that tied the hands of Johnson and his predecessor May. Some in Whitehall hope the EU may be keener to make concessions to a Prime Minister they can like and can trust more than Johnson. Alright, how are they going to have more trust in a new candidate who's promising to breach international law? These are all Tory MPs who voted in favour of the protocol, when it was pushed originally. So how is the EU going to trust any of the newcomers? Genuinely, the kind of stupidity we have, whoever this person is who made this statement, how stupid are you? That personal distrust was manifest in EU diplomats' reactions to Johnson's resignation. I mean, yeah, effectively they said, we're glad he's gone. But point being is, how is the new person going to foster any good faith with the EU when they're saying, oh yeah, we're going to scrap the agreement we had with you? Come on, man. Honestly. Clearly, part of the issue has been how they felt about the PM. A UK official said, you're making out to be like we're a bunch of teenagers out here, and the EU are like, oh man, I don't like Johnson, so I'm not going to help him, man. No, this is politics. This is the EU saying, look, we don't agree with your policy position on scrapping the Northern Ireland Protocol, the checks in the Irish Sea. We don't agree with that. It's not about his personality. Come on. That should never have been a question. It's about Northern Ireland, not individuals. Yes, it's about the EU single market and putting a hole in it. Hopefully they see that, given everyone agrees the protocol isn't working. But just because you agree on something doesn't mean you agree on the solutions. If someone has something like a terminal illness, right, like cancer, and the doctors, the medical professionals say you need to get it removed, and you've got some other joker saying, yeah, you got cancer, but you should be fine. Just because you both agree on something doesn't mean you both agree that there's a common solution. Your solution is scrapping checks in the Irish Sea. The EU solution is getting rid of some of the checks, but having the data in place so they know that goods at risk of getting into the EU single market aren't below EU standards. Come on, guys, genuinely. MPs are due to scrutinise the proposal starting Wednesday, but the bill is not expected to go through all its parliamentary stages in the Commons before it breaks for summer, so it could be end of year, potentially, before this thing gets put on the books. It depends. It depends on what happens next. It's at the committee phase now. There were rumours they were going to try and force it through the committees, but I don't think that's going to happen given Johnson's gone, and I think a lot of the committees are struggling because they have no ministers to kind of scrutinise over it, because a lot of them are gone and they've been replaced. Eurosceptic pressures will also push the next government towards slashing EU regulations, or at least talking about it, said Menon. It will be impossible for a new Prime Minister not to at least try to give the appearance of doing this, he added, which is true. Again, the EU are going to have to, the new Tory leader are going to have to at least look like they're a, quote, Eurosceptic. They have to appear to be a hardliner, hence why, Jeremy Hunt and Tom Tuggan have made the statements they've made. Those hoping for a radical change of Brexit may need to hope an election ushers in a new governing party. The agenda set out by Labour leader Keir Starmer last week still keeps Britain out of the EU single market and the customs union, because it's all about the Overton window, the window of kind of respectable debate, which is we can't rejoin the EU single market or customs union. That's kind of where the ground is at the moment. You got Labour Party talking about alignment deals and equivalency, etc., which some of those are unicorns, some of those aren't. I've discussed those in the past before. But point being is that the likelihood of us talking about trying to kind of rejoin a single market or the EU is not going to happen. Just the discussion alone is too toxic. Forget the impossibility of it even happening. Menon said there might be more room for details on policy, cooperation in areas such as foreign affairs. I mean, that's also true. But it depends. It depends on what we do next. The political atmosphere under Labour would be very different than under the Tories, in the sense that Labour wants to have a good relationship with the European Union, whilst the Tories are constantly looking to sabre rattle. That's kind of the end of the article, but I thought it was pretty decent. It does talk about the fact that essentially, by the looks of it, all the Tory leaders, at least the main ones, Tug on his hat, Jeremy Hunt, who could be a dark horse in this race, have all talked about their desire to kind of scrap checks in the Irish Sea, and that tells you that none of them really care about international law, and there won't be this magical reset that Tom Tug in his hat and people within Whitehall believe will happen just with Johnson gone. This goes above personalities. This is about the decisions a party is making to kind of destroy another group, really. You're talking about the destruction of the EU single market in a sense. What the UK are aiming to do is put a massive hole in it, and the EU obviously aren't happy with that, which I don't blame them for. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.